Hello, I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic.com, joined by Tom Oh, wait, no, it's not.
Oh, he's not here, is he? Sorry, comments. You got me.
This is Ben Potter from Triple Jump. I'm sure you're all familiar with him. Tell us a bit about yourself, Ben.
Well, we live in the small cupboard that's just sort of off to the side of the rest of the Cultaholic office.
Not true.
There's a leaky tap, but that is where we get most of our sort of drinking water from. So it serves a double purpose. But it's so nice to be outside. Well, I mean, still inside, but outside of the very small
No, we can do that. Put some lovely backdrop, some outside backdrop here. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Let's look at the news.
What a nice time.
The reason for EC3's main roster burial has been revealed. Over 10 WWE superstars have reportedly inquired about releases from the company. And is Renee Young's WWE future in question? Now, EC3 has had a pretty rough time on the main roster since being called up. He was great in NXT. You a fan?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have much time there, admittedly, but I was impressed with what I saw. I hadn't really been too aware of his work beforehand because I've never watched TNA and stuff like that. But yeah, he's a big boy. He can do the big moves. He sometimes looks a bit uncomfortable because he's so muscly.
He's a handsome man, isn't he?
He's very handsome.
Well, as I say, he hasn't been doing much at all on the main roster, and the reason for that has been revealed. According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, this comes via the radio show this morning, the company absolutely intended to bury Dean Ambrose. We know about that following Jon Moxley's appearance on Talk Is Jericho. Mm-hmm. During this time, he was doing stuff with Nia Jax, and that was meant to make him look like a fool. And then they realised that, hey, maybe that will in fact make him look like, and I quote, a martyr.
Okay.
So then Dean was paired with EC3 on house show matches. And Dean Ambrose, at this point, was getting cheered massively despite the fact that he was a heel.
Okay.
That's pissed off Vince.
Whose fault is that then? EC3.
Oh, 100%.
That's what he gets for coming into work and doing his job. Idiot.
The company is apparently now taking this out on EC3. We've seen him a few times backstage. He pops up on main events sometimes. It's really weird, isn't it? Because he was in WWE originally as Derek Bateman. He went over to TNA and had a hell of a run there. It's this new EC3 character, great heel work. Comes back, he's good in NXT as well. And you'd think that when he comes up to the main roster, after all that time away, proving himself, they're going to get behind him.
No.
Doesn't seem to be the case. Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, was bigging him up during the podcast with Jericho. And EC3 posted a rather cryptic tweet following this, saying, "Thank you, the feeling is mutual, good luck," which one can only assume is in reference to Jon Moxley's words about him.
Is that a good idea, though? Because that's pretty transparent, and given how he's been punished for not being cheered, this surely is only going to backfire, isn't it?
You'd think so, but I think WWE Superstars, they just don't seem to care anymore. It's a daily occurrence now that a current WWE Superstar, whether they're being pushed or whether they're at the top of the card, a la Becky Lynch, is taking shots on the company. It's the in thing to do. And various people are punished, and some, like Becky Lynch, don't seem to be being punished at all. But there seems to be a lot of frustration in the WWE right now, which leads us very conveniently onto our next story. This comes also from Dave Meltzer's Observer show this morning. And that is that over 10 superstars have inquired about releases, which is absolutely crazy. He said, "We don't know an exact number and we don't know exact names, but apparently it's more than you can count on two hands." Wow. That's nuts.
Yeah, that is.
That is absolutely nuts. We already know about the Revival's frustrations, Sasha Banks, Luke Harper, who requested a release, and despite the fact that Vince McMahon wants to do nothing to do with him because he sees no potential in the guy, they want to keep him around, I guess because of the threat of various indies, but especially AEW, and he could easily go there and be a star.
Yeah.
So there are lots of names floating around online regarding who this may be. Take these with a pinch of salt, but we're going to go through them now anyway. The first is Apollo Crews, which I think is an interesting one.
Yeah, so I obviously followed him a lot in NXT.
Yes.
And he was sort of part of that first, I feel like the first wave, if you can describe it as a wave, of NXT talent in the last few years to be brought up to the main roster without having had a meaningful feud or a championship victory. EC3 was another one. He'd had a couple of feuds, but he didn't really do anything of note in NXT before being brought up because they're just sort of, it seems that they're trying to plug a hole, really, in their talent, leaving. And as far as I'm aware, he's won a couple of, has he won a couple of Intercontinental Championships in that time?
No, he's never been IC champion.
He hasn't?
No, he was very successful in a battle royal on Raw. I'm trying to think what else he does.
Okay.
He just has
Well,
non-matches. Mojo Rawley beat him the other day on Raw, in fact.
Well, don't.
Well, no, I'm not having a
Come
go.
on.
I'm not having a go, but he's a great wrestler.
Yeah.
Hasn't really got much of a character, but his work as Uhan Nation on the Indies was absolutely terrific. The next name on here is Bobby Roode, who's just been reinvented as Robert Roode.
Right.
And isn't seen on TV every week again. I can understand why he's frustrated. That's a name that I'm more doubtful on, because after the amount of time that he spent in Impact doing his more sort of his work rate based stuff, I guess now he wants to make his money. So I'm not sure on that one. The next one is Killian Dane, our friend Big Damo.
Yeah, what's he been up to since? Because Sanity's disbanded now, as far as I'm aware, right?
Yes, Sanity have disbanded. That's official.
Okay.
Nikki Cross is on her own. Yeah, I think he's going back down to NXT at the moment. But
Really?
Eric Young's over on Raw. I think he's still technically a SmackDown star. He posts the occasional thing on Twitter, sort of hinting at the fact that he might be frustrated with his role. That's another one that makes sense, and it's another guy who can. All of these names can wrestle, but he's great, and he's got a great character as well. That's what's frustrating about that. You had the character there to work on. Next one is Tyler Breeze, who's just recently popped up in NXT once again.
He has.
He's gone back down. If it's not really down, it's across. It's up, actually, isn't it? It's just better. He's there. I can understand that. Fandango is out with an injury at the moment, and they were just sort of unceremoniously broken up. I get that one as well. Gallows and Anderson, two names that have been rumoured as going for a long, long time. They've done nothing with on the main roster at all. Incredibly frustrating. I believe the situation is they're just waiting for their contracts to finish, and then we'll probably see them pop up. Who knows where? Next one, Rusev. I can understand that as well.
Handsome
Rusev. I mean, he got over Rusev Day. It was a huge wrestling phenomenon, that.
It was.
People were so into that. Merch for days, and he was never really rewarded as a part of it. And the other one is his tag team partner, for some reason, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Mad, isn't it? What a waste.
I've said this before, I don't watch much New Japan. And then I was experiencing Shinsuke for one of the first times in NXT, immediately captivated by the guy. He's so unique, he should be at the top of the card. And I know not everybody can be at the top of the card. And he had the feud with AJ, and then he started kicking people in the gonads and all that. What a waste. What an absolute waste.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of those names go, to be honest.
No,
Apollo Crews, it makes sense. Tyler Breeze, I don't know. I mean, he's got a championship match, hasn't he? This weekend.
That is correct.
So that's something, but I mean, it's not. It's not tag team championship shot on the main roster. It's not.
I would say it's better. Genuinely, I would say it's better at this point. I think it's more meaningful. Don't get me wrong. He's over on SmackDown still. Or no, he's back down in NXT. He was on SmackDown. Daniel Bryan and Rowan are doing great things with the tag titles there, but both on Raw and SmackDown, the tag team scenes right now aren't great. I would rather be down in NXT.
Is that where the money is? I mean, I know job satisfaction is number one.
I don't know how it affects his contract. I would assume it wouldn't affect it financially at this point, but if they wanted him back down full time, I don't know. I'm not sure, but yeah, I agree. All of those names seem like sensible suggestions. Next up, we have a report from Ringside News about the future of Renee Young in the WWE. Of course, Renee Young is the real-life partner of Jon Moxley. We all know that. Jon Moxley is now AEW's biggest star. There were originally, according to this report, no plans to punish her for having a partner. But that is now being reconsidered. Originally, it was thought that that would be an absolute PR disaster, which it would, because that is ludicrous, if true. But now that is being reconsidered, especially following Talk is Jericho, and she was in the background. Jericho actually referenced the fact that she was there, which is, I don't know if it was fair of Jericho to do that. It may be foolish to have done that.
Yeah, that's it's not, again, it's just not going to end well, is it? Vince seems to have a bit of a pattern of taking it out on people who don't deserve it. I do have a question for you, though. there was an overlapping period, wasn't there, where CM Punk had walked out and AJ was still
Yes.
at WWE, and things weren't great for her during that period either.
No, we've seen it countless times through the years where people have been punished for something that someone else has done, and that sounds like a horrible work environment to be in. I mean, this is a report, as I say, from Ringside News. We don't know. She was on Raw as normal. I think this is another one of those time will tell things. Will she be scaled back? Will she be taken from the Raw announce team? I don't know, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cultaholic. And most importantly, don't forget to hit subscribe and join us.